Hey there, and welcome to Geopolitics411 Editorial Week. This one, and on this particular episode, we cover what has been the highlight across Africa, across the world, on the big stories of the week. And today, the big story is actually there are demonstrations in France, and the people of France are actually saying Emmanuel Macron must go. These demos happened last week, and people are demanding that he needs to go because the way he's governing is not working for France. He appointed a new prime minister. He's actually done 5 prime ministers within a period of 1 year, which tells you there's a problem in France. Is this going to end? We will be watching how this happens and how this develops across France. Very interesting, and also just waiting to see if Macron hits to the call. Do you think Macron would resign? I have my doubts, but it would be interesting if he just decided one day that he's done and he's going to resign. Very something to watch out for. Now, the other big story for the week is that Hamas is considering a ceasefire amid the Gaza conflict. So President Trump gave a 20-point document that called for an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and the exchange of Israeli captives held in Hamas for Palestinians in Israeli prisons, and staged and something else that was part of this 20-point agenda is a staged Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. So these are the things that have been highlighted that need to be done. Will they be done? That's something to watch for. So under the proposal, Hamas would also be required to disarm, and the US would work with Arab international partners to install a temporary international stabilization force, which will help, run the area. So, and as the war in Gaza nears its 3rd year, this looks like a faint sort of hope that is emerging if Hamas and Israel both agree to what is being termed as a working ceasefire method. So Hamas is currently reviewing the ceasefire proposal, and has already been, this proposal has been approved by both the United States President Donald Trump and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. So the proposed agreement includes a potential ceasefire, release of hostages, and but for some Palestinians, they say that the plan appears very one-sided. They don't believe they're getting as much as they should. Many citizens, though, are concerned that this war should actually end. But they say, as it appears, it does not fulfill the people's hopes. So not many of them are hopeful that this will sort their problems. And actually, someone was interviewed saying that everything written in serves the enemy's interests more than it serves the people's interests. But in the end, we want to live. We want to live. And they are calling for everyone to have a plan that benefits the people, and remains what remains of the people, the land, and the homes in Gaza. So that's the big call. So that has been the big story across the geopolitical space. And now in Africa, the bigger story now has been also former president of Congo, Joseph Kabila, has been sentenced. So the military court in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, has sentenced former President Kabila, and he was sentenced in his absentia. Kabila was convicted of various crimes, including treason, crimes against humanity, murder, sexual assault, torture, and insurrection. So Kabila served as the president of DRC from 2001 to 2019 and had left DRC in 2023. But recently, I think 2024, he visited Goma, which is an area controlled by M23 rebel groups. And this raised a lot of issues because everyone was questioning why he would be visiting a place where M23 rebels have taken over, as a former president one, and as someone who has seen what Congo has been going through. So the former president went on trial in July, and his alleged support, because of his alleged support for the Rwanda-backed rebels, the M23, who seized swaths of lands in the eastern DRC. So he's also accused of plotting to overthrow the current president of DRC, Felix Tshisekedi, while other charges against him were of homicide, torture, rape, and all these are linked to the rebel group that is M23. Kabila had lived outside Congo exiled himself and decided to go across so that, he doesn't get these charges to him or doesn't get killed as he accused. So this is a big story for Africa because not many presidents in Africa have been sentenced, and many question if this is going to happen, especially because at the moment they do not know where he is. He's in self-exile. To where, nobody knows. But that's a good step, and for DRC, kudos for that. Now, the other two big stories are in Madagascar and Morocco. The young people of these two countries are on the streets demanding for change, better governance, and an end to corruption. That is for Morocco. They want government services and end of corruption. And the demonstrators are actually demanding an urgent investment in public health and education because they feel these are the sectors that are lacking and that are suffering quite a huge chunk because of the mismanagement of the government. Now, in Madagascar, the president, Andre, dissolved the country's government after days of protest. People have been protesting, demanding that he must go because of poor management of the country. And some of the protesters actually say, even if they are shot or if they die, they are ready to do that so long as the Madagascar gets its freedom. The key thing that took the people of Madagascar to the streets was actually water and power shortages. There have been recurrent shortages of power and water, and people now feel with this, there's going to be a crisis in terms of economic crisis, of course, when you lack power, and a health crisis because of the water problems. So that's why the people of Madagascar are demanding that their president, Andre, must go, and they want a new president come in who will perhaps sort the issues that are ailing their country. Now, another big story is President Trump, just a day or 2 days ago, took a swipe at Kenya and Somalia. You know, Kenya and Somalia have had issues with terror attacks. Kenya basically has had issues with terrorism attacks from mostly the Somali country or side. And with that, we've had a lot of support from the United States forces that are based in Africa. So now Trump says it's time for U.S. to focus on itself and its needs. He feels that the U.S. has been policing the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while its own borders face growing security threats and some is internal. So he has said at this point what they're going to do, it's going to be America first. So what does this mean for Kenya? Quite very tricky business. Will Kenya manage to sort it? Would America withdraw the forces that are based in Africa to go back? That's something to watch out for. What will Langley tell the continent? I don't know, but it's something we're watching to see how that develops. So quite a sad scenario though, because terror is terror is bad, and Africa and Kenya has experienced the bad effects of terror, and it's time, if America is going to withdraw its forces in Africa, we can only hope for the best. And also considering that the United Nations wants to put the biggest office in Africa, so that means we would have a lot of people from across the world, expatriates working here, and with that it means our security would be something to watch out for, because you would have so many citizens from across the world in different parts of this country, and if America is not even going to police its own citizens here, then who will? Quite a big thing for our security forces and basically Africa as a continent to think about. Now, the Defense Secretary of US, Pete Hegseth, announced at a gathering of military officers that he expected more physical fitness from personnel in the US military, and criticized what he called the fat generals and admirals. Now, when I saw that, I was very concerned for my country, Kenya. I mean, and this I'm speaking as someone who uses the Kenyan roads. We have quite a number of police officers who are on traffic who are what he's calling fat generals. I'm actually using his words. I'm not body shaming anyone, but I think if you're in the military or you're in the officers, police force, you ought to have a form of what is expected as, a more physical fitness is important. That is from the Defense Secretary, not my words, but I found that quite something. Finally, the Haiti mission that is led by Kenya is coming to an end today, Thursday the 2nd, actually. And this was announced that the Kenyan-backed UN police mission in Haiti has officially ended following the UN Security Council resolution approving the establishment of a militarized gang suppression force composed of about 5,500 uniformed personnel. Now, our policemen are not forces. So we're not sure. I think this maybe, it's not announced as yet, but possibly the Kenya Police Administration police that was sent will be coming back home. That is subject to confirmation. But what they said, they are going to have a militarized gang suppression force. So I don't know if our forces will go to Haiti and help restore peace. And also the new gang suppression force is expected to draw participation from Kenya, El Salvador, Guatemala, Jamaica, and potentially the United States. I don't know why for US it's potentially, and they're even closer than, like Kenya is far from Haiti. I mean, it's good to help, but I don't know why for US it's potentially. And though they say that leadership will likely shift away from Nairobi because it's been highly led by the Kenyan forces. So that is what is happening. It ends today. Kudos to our boys. They did their best. Condolences we lost at least what has been announced. We lost 3 of the members. Condolences to the families, and we wish them well. And hopefully, Haiti is able to be restored to peace somehow and, get to enjoy life like any other states. Thank you for watching our episode of the day that has been editorial of the week. We'll see you on the next one next week. The world is fast-paced and sometimes you miss the action. What perspectives do you have? What is the truth? Is the world at war? Join me, Sarah Mwangi, as we make sense of the information overload.